You launch a web server on your machine, send a colleague or friend the IP address, and it fails to load completely. The issue isn't your code, it's routing. The internet relies on two distinct address spaces, private local networks and the global public web. To communicate across the internet, your local IP has to be translated into a public one. Today, we'll break down how private and public IPs and localhost work and how data moves between them. So let's jump right into it. A private IP address is a local identity assigned to a device inside a private network, like your home or office. You can think of it like a room number inside an apartment building. It tells devices on the same Wi-Fi where to find each other, typically using addresses that start with 192.168. Historically, private addresses were split into three fixed sizes. Class A, starting with 10, reserved for massive enterprise networks. Class B, starting with 172, designed for medium-sized organizations. And Class C, starting with 192.168, built for small offices or homes. Today, networks use a much more flexible system called classless interdomain routing, or CIDR, which eliminates rigid boundaries so we don't waste IP addresses like we used to. You can check your own private IP address right now by opening your terminal and typing ipconfig if you are on Windows. If you are on Mac or Linux, you can use ifconfig. After pressing enter, you'll get a list of your current network configurations. Look for the labels IPv4 and IPv6. These refer to two different IP formats. IPv4 is the standard set of numbers we're covering today, while IPv6 addresses are much longer and provide a virtually endless pool for future devices. If you'd like to learn more about IP address structures, differences between IPv4 and IPv6, CIDR, or subnetting, we recommend watching our dedicated videos on those topics linked in the description below. While a private IP identifies your device inside a local network, a public IP address is your globally unique identity on the public internet. If a private IP is like a room extension number inside an office, your public IP is the building's official street address that allows any server in the world to locate your network. Public IP addresses are managed and assigned directly by your Internet Service Provider, or ISP. Every website, web server, and online service relies on these public addresses to send data back and forth across the internet. For most residential connections, your ISP assigns this public address dynamically using something called Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, or DHCP. This means that your public IP isn't permanent. It can change periodically when your router restarts, after a network update, or whenever your address lease expires. ISPs do this to manage their pool of IP addresses efficiently as devices disconnect and reconnect. If you need an address that never changes, for example, if you are running a web server or hosting a service, you would use a static IP instead, which remains permanently fixed to your connection. Because public IPs are externally visible, any website you visit can see your current IP address. You can easily find your active public IP right now by opening a browser and searching, "What is my IP?" This will give you a short report on your exact IP address, as well as some additional location information. Websites use this exact IP address to route pages, videos, and network responses right back to your home router. Here's the fundamental dilemma. Your home devices live inside a private local network. When your laptop sends a file to your printer or smart TV, they talk directly to each other using their local private IP addresses we mentioned earlier. This internal conversation stays completely inside your home and never touches the outside web. But what happens when your laptop wants to reach a website across the world? And where do the public IP addresses appear in all of this? Public web servers completely ignore private IP addresses. To bridge this gap, your devices rely on a middleman standing right at the border of your network, your router. Your router holds a single, globally valid public IP address, which is assigned by your internet provider. It shares this single public address on behalf of every device in your private network. When your laptop requests a web page, the router intercepts the data, strips off your private IP, and stamps its own public IP onto the packet before sending it into the internet. To external websites, all traffic appears to come from one single machine, your router. This process of switching between private and public IP addresses is called Network Address Translation, or NAT. But when response data returns from the web to your single public IP, How does the router know whether it belongs to your laptop or your smartphone? It attaches extra tracking details, specifically port numbers, to keep a temporary log of who asked for what, ensuring return traffic is routed back to the exact device that requested it. This approach with NAT simplifies communication to external devices on the public internet and creates a functional system which allows reliable and precise data routing. If you'd like to learn more about port numbers and different network devices, we will link our videos about them in the description for you to check. Now let's take a look at a more detailed real-world example to understand better what happens behind the scenes. Your laptop with this private IP address wants to request a secure web page from a remote server at this public IP address. The process follows the same setup with the router in the middle, which will allow you to access data outside of your private network. Your computer creates a simple request packet addressed as you'd expect. The source is your laptop with its private IP at an arbitrary local port like 5000, and the destination is the web server's public IP address at the standard web port 443. First, this local conversation must reach the global internet. The packet travels to your home router. As we covered, local addresses can't route publicly. So, the router performs NAT. It rewrites the source header, replacing your laptop's local ID with the router's own public IP and assigning a unique, temporary port, say 41200, to track this specific request. Now properly labeled for the public web, the packet crosses the internet. To the destination web server, this request looks like it came directly from your router's single public IP. But the job is only half done. The server processes your request and creates a response data packet to deliver the web page back to your laptop. As you can see, the sources and destinations now flip. The server is now the source, and your router's public interface is the destination. The packet travels back to your router in the same way. When it arrives, the router checks its log. It looks up port 41200 and sees that it belongs to your laptop. The router performs NAT one final time in reverse, rewriting the destination from its own public IP back to your laptop's private address, and delivers the web page right to your browser window. While private and public IPs connect devices across local and global networks, Localhost provides a specialized internal address 127001 that allows your computer to talk directly to itself. To make this loopback functionality possible, global internet authorities ICANN and IANA reserved an entire address block strictly for internal host communications. When software sends data packets to 127001, your operating system immediately intercepts those packets and loops them right back to your local machine, completely bypassing physical network cables, Wi-Fi adapters, and external routers. This creates an isolated internal environment with three major benefits: testing unfinished software using local diagnostic checklists, achieving near-zero latency because packets move at bus speed without network overhead, and enforcing strict security by placing a virtual traffic barrier that keeps unfinished applications completely hidden from outside users on your Wi-Fi. In short, private and public IPs connect you to others, but Localhost ensures that whatever happens on your machine stays on your machine. In conclusion, every time you stream a video, send a message, or browse the web, a carefully orchestrated network system springs into action. Your personal devices such as laptops, smartphones, and computers rely on private IP addresses to identify each other and communicate locally over physical cables and Wi-Fi. When you request data from the outside world, your router acts as the crucial gateway, using network address translation to bundle all your local traffic behind a single public IP address. That request travels across the global internet to remote servers hosting sites like YouTube, which route response data right back to your home interface. And when software needs to test or run processes internally without sending data over a network at all, Localhost loops that communication safely inside your own operating system. Understanding these core building blocks reveals how billions of devices seamlessly interconnect across our modern digital world. We hope this video gave you a clearer perspective about IP addresses and networking. This marks the end of our breakdown of private and public IP addresses. To learn more about various networking concepts, you can check out our other videos in the description. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to our channel for more tech guides. Thank you for watching.